In 1984, in the United States, a secret society poisoned an entire town, killed 175 people, and hospitalized 100 more. Wait until you find out why they did it.
At True Crime, Jamie and I bring you the realest and wildest crime stories from around the world. Hit the subscribe button and stick around.
Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh, born Chandra Mohan Jain, was an Indian mystic and spiritual teacher who became widely known under the name Rajneesh. His teachings blended mysticism, Eastern and Western philosophies, meditation, and a strong emphasis on individual freedom. He challenged institutional religions and admitted that his methods, although controversial, were the best. He formed the Neo-Sannyasins, a loyal herd of followers who adopted his meditations, lifestyle, and his view of spiritual transformation, and would later be seen as a secret society, a cult. In 1981, the movement grew so fast, far and wide, that Rajneesh and many of his followers moved to the United States, where they purchased a large ranch in Oregon called Big Muddy Ranch and established a commune named Rajneeshpuram. Originally, the area was called Antelope, so when the Rajneeshee's population swarmed it and they started having political control, they changed later the name of the town to Rajneesh. From the very beginning, relations with the local Oregon community was difficult. Legal, social, and land use disputes started piling up. By 1984, Rajneesh and his followers were already in the middle of a battle for control of the local elections within Wasco County of Oregon. But when they couldn't win the vote the normal way, they took matters into their own hands and went about it in the most horrifying way possible. They plotted a deadly plan to control the people of Dalles and influence the election to their favor. And that's where things began to take an unexpected turn. The biggest setback in the land disputes between the Rajneeshees and the original town owners of Antelope, Dalles, and Wasco County as a whole was being denied building permits. The law made it illegal for them to erect structures. Out of frustration, they decided to do everything possible to influence the November 1984 election and win 2 out of the 3 seats in the Wasco County Commission. In that same desperation, the group even tried to influence the election by bringing homeless people to Rajneeshpuram and registering them to vote for their candidates. In response, the Wasco County clerk enforced a rule requiring new voters to show proof of eligibility when registering. Their plan was clearly not working, but on August 29, 1984, the Rajneeshees came up with an evil genius plan that had never been seen in the history of elections in the U.S. They launched the first and largest bioterror attack in America. How did they do it? The attack was carefully planned by Sheila Silverman, known as Ma Anand Sheila, Rajneesh's close aide, and Diane Yvonne Onang, or May Anand Puja, a nurse and senior member of the commune. They secretly bought salmonella bacteria from a medical supply company in Seattle and grew it in their own lab within Rajneeshpuram. Their first move was to contaminate salad bars in local restaurants. It was to be a test run to see if it would work. Did it work? Yes, it did. The Rajneeshees first tested the poison on 2 Wasco County commissioners who visited Rajneeshpuram on August 29, 1984. They contaminated their water glasses with the bacteria, and both men would eventually get sick and end up hospitalized. That was only the beginning. They went on to spread the bacteria on product packages in stores and on the doorknobs of toilets in public places like the courthouse. But they couldn't get the result they wanted. They needed something more severe. So they moved to Plan B. The ultimate plan was to stop people from voting in the upcoming election. And the Rajneeshees knew that making the entire sick is the best way to keep them off the polls. Between September and October 1984, they contaminated the salad bars of 10 local restaurants with salmonella and infected 751 people. Although 45 people received hospital treatment with little to slightly advanced complications, all of them survived. For days, no one could figure out what was happening. Doctors thought it was a food poisoning outbreak, but the symptoms were spreading too quickly. But someone or something was definitely responsible for the attack. Several tests proved a very similar pattern that made the police conclude that it wasn't just a normal food poisoning case. I mean, it was the biggest food-related illness outbreak in America that year. Lab tests showed the bacteria was Salmonella enterica typhimurium, and the officials blamed the sickness on bad hygiene by restaurant workers. But some people, including one congressman, didn't buy that explanation. Congressman James Weaver didn't think it was just a coincidence. He kept digging, and most of his findings started pointing to the Rajneeshpuram commune. When he raised his concerns, people thought he was just being paranoid. Weaver wouldn't let it go. Would he? Well, we'll find out. In 1985, Rajneesh, the leader of the commune, finally broke his silence and confessed. He accused his own followers, including his top assistant Sheila, of doing horrible things like poisoning people, planning murders, and even contaminating the water supply in the Dalles. He called them a gang of fascists and invited the FBI and local police to investigate. At first, the public thought it was just an internal crisis, and no one took him seriously. But on October 2nd, 1985, more than 50 investigators showed up at Rajneeshpuram with search warrants. And what they found was shocking. In the commune's medical lab, they discovered vials of Salmonella, the exact same bacteria that had made people sick. They also found materials for making poisons, explosives, and even biological weapons. As investigators dug deeper, they uncovered even more terrifying stuff. It turned out the commune had been experimenting with dangerous chemicals and bacteria for over a year. The whole plan was to poison politicians, plot murders, and even influence local elections by causing chaos. This wasn't just random food poisoning. It was a planned bioterrorism attack, as the commune had planned more attacks in other Oregon cities too. Much later into the investigation, David Barry Knapp, the mayor of Rajneeshpuram, turned on his former leaders and gave the FBI key details about the Salmonella attack. He said Sheila, the commune's leader, had told him about a plan to make people sick in the Dalles to lower voter turnout. That's not all. Sheila even played a tape of Rajneesh saying it was fine if a few people died to protect his vision. However, some people, like Satya Bharti Franklin, claimed Sheila had edited the tapes to fit her own agenda. John J. Shelfer, Sheila's husband, who was never in support of her evils and never wanted to be associated with it, also recalled how Sheila was skilled at making it seem like everything she did had Rajneesh's approval, even if it didn't. Many of Rajneesh's followers didn't believe he was involved in the illegal activities and thought Sheila was solely to blame. Meanwhile, Rajneesh, from his period of isolation, later agreed that Sheila had used his silence to carry out a fascist regime in the commune in his absence. In October 1985, Rajneesh left Oregon and was arrested in North Carolina for immigration violations. He pleaded guilty to making false statements to immigration officials and received a suspended sentence, a fine, and was deported but never charged for the Salmonella attack. Sheila and her assistant Pooja were arrested in Germany and brought back to the U.S. in 1986. They were charged with a series of serious crimes, including attempted murder, poisoning, and wiretapping. In 1986, both women pleaded guilty to their involvement in the Salmonella attack and other crimes. Sheila was sentenced to 20 years for attempted murder and poisoning, while Pooja got a 15-year sentence. However, reports have it that both women were released on parole after serving just 29 months. Sheila later moved to Switzerland, remarried, and ran 2 nursing homes. And that's about the size of our coverage on the Rajneeshee bioterror attack story.
If you want to hear more real and wild true crime stories like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Stay tuned for our next video.